This video is intended to look at art from the late antique period. Late antique refers to the latter time of the Roman Empire. During the late antiquity, that's when we see Christianity rise. Two important moments played a critical role in the development of early Christianity. First was the decision of the Apostle Paul to spread Christianity beyond the Jewish communities of Palestine into the Greco-Roman world. And the second would be when the Emperor Constantine accepted Christianity and became its patron at the beginning of the 4th century. The creation and the nature of Christian art were directly impacted by those moments. In Christianity's early times, though, it was considered a mystery religion. Rome was full of numerous mystery religions. A mystery religion was any religion other than that religion that was sponsored by the state, so Jupiter, Juno, Mars. The gradual decline of the Roman Empire and the collapse of its political administration coincided with the development of Christianity. Christianity was a minority religion until the 4th century AD. Once it was accepted by Constantine, that's when it took off. In the city of Rome, Christianity was first adopted by urban lower and lower middle class people. The aristocracy, for the most part, continued to worship the pagan gods. From the 2nd century onward, many educated Romans and some members of the upper classes began to take an interest in this new religion and encouraged its development. Within the Roman Empire, there were numerous mystery cults that centered around the Greek god Dionysus, the Egyptian goddess Isis, the Phrygian god Cybele, the Persian god Mithras. Adonis was another god. There's Zoroastrian gods. There were numerous religions that were worshipped throughout the Roman Empire. Christianity just was one of numerous mystery religions. We're going to start our discussion looking at art from late antiquity at the town of duraeuropas. Duraeuropas means Fort Europas. It's a little town on the edge of the Roman Empire in present-day Syria. So it's far eastern Syria near the border of Iraq on the Euphrates River. It was discovered and excavated in 1922. There are different types of buildings that reflect the multiplicity of religions practiced around the Mediterranean. There are shrines to the Persian deities. There's pagan Roman temples. There's a Jewish synagogue. There's a Christian baptistry and private house where Christians worshiped. There's a temple of Bel, who's a Semitic god. Temple of Adonis, who's a Greek god. And so houses were converted for various reasons as places of worship within duraeuropas. So in this case, we have an image of Mithras slaying a bull. There's an inscription at a temple for Adonis. We're going to look at the synagogue that is in duraeuropas. So duraeuropas was a military outpost. It was probably founded by Alexander the Great. And then when the Romans conquered this Hellenistic city, they spread their ways there. So it has this combination of not only Greek and Roman, but also different Middle Eastern cultures that had been there before, like the Persians. So it's pretty amazing that, well, first of all, that it survives. The city was buried in preparation for an attack by the Persians in 256 AD. And then the second thing that's amazing about it is that it is representative of the late antique style of Roman paintings. There's not a consistent sense of scale or a homogeneous spatial depictions. There are definitely elements of the classical there, and there's little motifs that are put together, but it does lack the coherence that we would expect in Greco-Roman art. So there's background paintings that have objects placed on them in anti-naturalistic way. The figures are shorter, kind of with a cut and paste look to it. Another thing that's interesting about the synagogue at duraeuropas is that it was long believed that Jewish synagogues had no images of humans in them or of holy people. And in this case, due to the second against graven images, in this case, there are no images of God. You will see a hand emerging from the sky. That is to represent God, but you do not see God himself depicted. So the synagogue has various images of Old Testament prophets and patriarchs in it. There's 3 levels of Old Testament scenes and figures that are arranged horizontally, and in the middle there is a niche for the Torah. The Torah was a parchment or leather scroll that contained the first 5 books of the Old Testament, which is referred to as the Pentateuch. So Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, and Numbers. So those are the 5 books of Moses, which are the basis of Jewish teaching. The images that we're going to look at are, the first is the one of Moses giving water to the 12 tribes of Israel. So in this case, each tribe is represented as a single figure with upraised arms standing at the entrance to a tent. So they are in the orant position. So these figures that have their arms upraised like this is a prayer position. And that symbolizes that they are praying to God. There's also a menorah here, so the sacred candelabrum for the Jewish people. It's a Corinthian portico that we see here that is housing the menorah. Then Moses is here, and he is a combination of the Old Testament patriarch, but also he kind of looks like a Roman statesman. He wears a toga. He has a very slight suggestion of contrast. If you notice, this leg looks straight, this leg is bent, but he is not 100% naturalistic. There is definitely a stylization going on here. The figures are here for symbolic purposes, not for naturalism. For example, the way in which there are the 12 tribes of Israel. We have 12 tents, 6 here, 6 here. There is a figure that is standing facing us in each of them to represent the 12 sons of Jacob or Israel. And then Moses is much larger. Why? To show that he is more important. And then the water is flowing out of the fountain very unnaturalistically into each of these tents. So the entire style is meant to be instructive. It is not meant to be naturalistic. The next scene I want to look at is the scene of Samuel anointing David. Again, in this case, the scene is meant to be instructive. It's not meant to be naturalistic. Samuel is shown here on the left-hand side. He is much larger than the others. He is the one who is to choose the future king of Israel. So there is David here, and then his 6 older brothers look on. They are all shown the same size, but David stands out because he is in the front, but he's also wearing purple. So purple being the royal color. So that is what distinguishes him. And then we see the feather that is pointing to David, singling him out. So again, this is meant to be entirely symbolic rather than naturalistic. And that's what we would typically see during the late antique period, is this combination of some naturalism. For example, the figures look like they're wearing Roman togas. There seems to be folds in them. They seem like they have somewhat of a contrapposto to their stance, but there's a lack of any naturalistic sense of space. They're not standing in any realistic looking field or city, and everything is made so that we can clearly understand the story, what is going on here.